Hi, it's Lynn here, popping by with a free resource. If you're a singer who wants to teach but sometimes feels a little unsure or overwhelmed, I've put together some free resources to help you feel grounded and supported as you take your next steps. Just check the link in the podcast description and you'll get an informed, practical PDF guide to help you get started, plus a few follow-up resources to help you feel less of a fraud and more confident in your teaching journey.
Do you have a stellar service or a product that you truly believe in, but you're just not attracting the right people in, and you just don't have a reliable marketing strategy? In this episode, Meta Ads strategist Danny Young breaks down how advertising really works in 2026 and why understanding strategy and biopsychology matters more than simply running ads. From navigating today's trust recession to building a powerful connect and convert ecosystem, Danny shares how to turn cold audiences into warm, ready-to-buy clients. So if you're ready to give your marketing a glow up and start advertising with intention, then stick around. Danny Young is coming right up. When a guest comes onto the podcast, I often wonder how much of their work seeps into their personality in their real life, if you like. So my first question to you is, as someone who helps people generate leads, design really persuasive marketing systems and gain organic traffic, how persuasive are you in your own life and how often do you get your own way?
Brilliant question. I guess I have to be quite persuasive. I have two teenage sons who I remember, well, of course, fondly. Every day I think of them fondly, but I remember very fondly when they were tiny. And, I've helped to shape them into the young men that they've become, but now they're teenagers and they have opinions, and they have ideas about how things should be done. So that's definitely an area where I do need to lean into my, psychology and persuasive skill sets to kind of guide them back onto the right path about how certain things need to be done. Generally, if I think about how I have changed over the course of the last 10, 15 years that I've been doing this since I left my corporate job, I would never have said previously that I was a data geek. But now my life is pretty much, well, certainly in work, it's all about data. And I really enjoy looking at data and analyzing it and figuring out what it's telling me. So, yes, I have had to become persuasive, but I've also had to put on this slightly geekier hat that if you went back 20 years, I would never have envisioned me wearing.
So do you have like little files on your boys to be like, right, here's the data, you misbehaved on this day, or you have this opinion, so I need to go to this next step?
Well, we've talked for a long time about introducing the concept of pocket money. Previously, like the boys have always, not always had what they want, but they've never really had to want for much. But as they get to start growing up and becoming young men, I felt it was time for them to learn the value of money. My wife and I, it's a busy household. Mandy runs a preschool nursery. I run my agency and coaching business. And we introduced pocket money, and we've had to introduce shared notes folders about things the boys do well and things the boys maybe don't do so well, so that when we come around to our little monthly chat about how much pocket money they're getting, we've got the evidence there.
Oh, I really like that.
It works. It's early days, but it does work because they can't really, as well as having opinions, they're also very eager to contest anything that gets thrown their way. But when the evidence is put to them in front of them, then it kind of makes the conversation a little bit quicker.
As a Meta Ads strategist for online business owners, could you share with us maybe a success story from your catalogue of work, working with clients to build their business and build their strategy? What was happening before they came to you and what changed?
Yeah, I mean, without wanting to blow my own trumpet, there are lots and lots of success stories, which is really good because I share them a lot and it helps me to grow the business. So I have an agency where we basically take care of people's ads for them. We do everything. They outsource their ads to us and we take care of their lead generation and all of that kind of stuff. And I had a lady that came to me, Sian, about 4 years ago now. She's a kind of like a business and marketing coach. And she has a specific way of helping female business owners, normally service-based businesses, in the allied health space. So speech therapists, that kind of area. She teaches these women how to build a business online using feminine energy. When it comes to online marketing, there's quite a lot of what is known in my world as bro marketing energy. It's about discounts and offers and, very, very male like dominated thought processes. And Sian teaches it in a female way. The problem she had when she came to me is that she worked with 5 different agencies and her cost per lead was always around $50, which is incredibly high. And she was burning through ad spend, burning through budget, burning through agency fees, not really making any progress, and was on the verge of giving up. And I said, give me a chance, I'll fix it. And we spent a lot of time looking at her messaging and looking at what she was putting out there. And one of the things that I noticed quite early on is that a lot of her messaging talked quite negatively about the challenges that her ideal clients might be having, the pain that they might be experiencing. And my suggestion was, what we're doing with that messaging is we're speaking to people that are in a kind of low emotional state. They are very much stuck in the problem. Let's change it around and make the messaging more positive and be more aspirational and talk about, well, this is what you could achieve. This is how your business could look, and speak more positively in the messaging that we're putting out there, and attract people that are in a high emotional state, people that have the problems, but are also aware that they can solve them. It's a different kind of mindset. And we started to attract those people in. The cost per lead came down significantly. And what's more importantly than that is that the conversions at the back end of the process went up. And that whole shift, along with some other things that we did as well, took Sian from kind of running a low 6-figure business to a 7-figure business. And we've been working with her now for 4 years and just continually helping her to evolve and grow and launch new offers and all those good things. So I think the reason I wanted to share that is because quite often, you can work with people in the space that I operate in, but they won't kind of have enough depth of knowledge around things like biopsychology and things like that, which is really important to understand, how do we connect with people? What words do we need to use to get people to see our point of view the way we need them to see it? So it's not just about running ads, it's deeper than that. And they're the kind of relationships that I love. Most of my clients that work with me in the agency have been with me for months and months and months, if not years. And we just continue to kind of work together strategically to help them achieve the goals in their business.
Facebook launched, like 20 odd years ago or so? I remember my friend setting up my profile with me because I had no idea what to do just before I went off to uni, I think it was, so we could stay in touch a little bit more. How has the way in which business and ads, how's that evolved over time, and what still remains a constant?
Yeah, I love that question. It has changed a lot. And it's interesting because a lot of the changes that happen are not things you would have foreseen. If I think about Meta, okay, so it used to be called Facebook ads. Now it's called Meta ads because, Facebook and Instagram rebranded as Meta a few years ago. One of the big changes that happened back in maybe 2021 was where Apple decided that they wanted to kind of challenge Meta's ads, and they decided that they weren't going to allow Meta to track what people were doing once they came onto an Apple device. It was when Apple released iOS 14 as the operating system for their Apple devices. And that caused a huge tsunami, really, in the world of advertising, because everybody thought, well, this is going to be the end. We can't track what people are doing on the most used mobile device on the planet. But it didn't turn out that way. Meta found a workaround because they've got incredibly smart people working for their business. Then there was, prior to that, I think, my timelines are not great, there were issues around personal data and privacy, and there was what was known in the industry as the Cambridge Analytica scandal, where Meta were apparently doing things that were a little underhand. You need to research that. I'm not saying if they did or didn't. And again, ripples throughout the industry. It's going to cause the end. There's going to be a lot of changes, but Meta continue to evolve. I think the way that you run ads on the platform is constantly evolving because we've had the introduction of AI over the last few years, which has made a massive difference. AI is everywhere. But I think what's really interesting is that, I talked about biopsychology a few moments ago, but the core principles of marketing haven't changed. And the way that we connect with people hasn't changed. It's just the platforms that change and evolve, to external pressures, to compliance and other challenges. But for me, it really is about making sure that you've got a strong message and that you understand your audience and that you can connect with people and put messaging out that speaks to them and helps them to identify themselves in that messaging. And then you build that instant connection, foster a relationship, and then, warm up the leads that you're generating and move them towards being clients.
What about the things that have become harder for business owners in using platforms such as Facebook and Instagram, and what might actually be easier for them?
Yeah, that is a great question. So I think AI has made things harder. And the reason for that is that I see content everywhere because I'm online, my business is online. And so much of it I can tell is generated and written by AI. People will be using tools like ChatGPT or Claude, and they'll probably be using really basic prompts like, "Oh, write me a post for today," and they'll take that post and share it. And within 5 seconds of looking at it, I can see it's been written by AI. So if you think about what that does in terms of the grand scheme of things, the bigger picture, it causes issues around trust. Okay, because where people were previously putting out content that was most of the time coming from a place of integrity and it was written by the individual, now it's a little bit more difficult to ascertain whether or not that's real content. And there's a lot of talk at the moment about a trust recession. Okay, that's quite a common phrase that comes up in my circles. Some people will say there isn't a trust recession. I fundamentally believe that there is, because I think AI contributes massively to it. So it's more difficult for people to establish the connections, because don't forget, we're talking about online marketing. Okay, we're not talking about networking in person where you can sit down and look into someone's eyes and hear the tone of their voice and look at their body language and think about their mannerisms subconsciously. We're talking about interactions that are coming through posts and blogs and video and whatever else. It's incredibly easy now to create video that looks really, really real, right? I mean, I can remember probably a couple of years ago where AI videos, you'd look at them and go, yeah, it's clearly AI. But now it's very, very difficult to tell. So people now, as a result of the trust recession, one of the things that's happening is people need more touch points, right? They need, rather than me finding your brand online and maybe needing to see a couple of different things before I go, yeah, I want to do something with Alexa. I want to, get on her email list, or I want to buy her program or whatever it is. Now they might need 15 to 20 touch points before they kind of get through the trust recession and everything else. So that is certainly making it more difficult for people to market online. Interestingly, AI is also making it a lot easier for people to market online, because you can teach AI to create content that sounds like you. You can use AI to come up with a strategy very, very quickly. If you think, right, I've got a singing tutor course that I want to promote in 30 days time, you can feed all of the information into AI and say, right, tell me the things I need to post every day for the next 30 days in order to sell 10 copies of this. And it'll come up with a big long list. And then you can just go, right, day one, I need to post a piece of content that's going to help people to become aware of my brand. It might be a quick video. You record the video, bang, out it goes. So it helps you to streamline and be more efficient. But where it hinders is when people use it and take it too far, and then just literally use AI to do all of the content. And then I think that you run the risk of eroding trust with your audience, and that can be costly.
In terms of client reach, who's actually using Facebook nowadays compared to other platforms? And can it really work for anybody now and their business?
Yeah, I strongly believe that it can. I do think that Facebook and Instagram have some semblance of a shelf life, because the kids these days, right, they're on Snapchat, they're on TikTok. My kids don't have Facebook accounts, they have Instagram accounts. But Facebook is still the largest social media platform by number of users globally. Almost half of the people in the world have a Facebook account, right? So Facebook are, and again, I don't work for Meta. Sorry, I should say Meta rather than Facebook, but we were talking specifically about Facebook as a platform because it is the most used platform. But Meta are obviously going to be doing work in the background to tap into these younger audiences and become more relevant. They're doing that with, ways to help short form content proliferate around the platform and lots of other things. But can it still work? Does it still work? Absolutely. I mean, I've worked with a number of different clients in a number of different niches over the years. And I think again, going back to something that I said earlier, what will make you really successful as a marketer is making sure that your messaging connects with your audience, okay, that they can understand that you are there and able to help them to solve a problem or to take a step forward or, achieve a mini transformation. A lot of the people that I've worked with are service-based businesses, but I've recently, only in the last couple of weeks, started to work with a charity that I love. They're called the Azalea Foundation, and they help children with cancer. That's a subject matter that's close to my heart. And we're running a donation campaign for them at the moment that's going incredibly well. For every pound that they're spending, they're getting £4 or £5 back in terms of donation. So it's just working amazingly well. And it just goes to show that with the right strategy behind the business, the right ad campaign strategy, Meta is a fantastic place to grow your business purely because of the reach that you can get.
Is there a difference between how you'll market on Facebook compared to how you'll market on Instagram?
There are minor differences, but not huge. One of the things about Instagram as a platform is that you can't have links in the post copy, right? You can show it, they will show, but they're not clickable. So you do need to just kind of adjust things slightly to make, ads work on both platforms. But for most of our clients, we tend to run the same campaign on Instagram as we do on Facebook, just with a couple of little tweaks to make sure that, the call to action we want people to take is clear and visible. We have to think like Instagram it's a visual platform, right? It's about reels, it's about images, it's about the feeds. But now you've got all of those capabilities on Facebook as well. So yeah, there are minor differences. And like I was going to say, there are some campaigns that you might want to run just on Instagram. But for me and for my clients, it tends to be both. And they tend to both work as well.
Are there any stats to suggest or anything anecdotally to suggest that Meta ads suit something more tangible in terms of a product, like maybe a singing teacher has written a book or has designed a course or has a particular product that they want somebody to use in their studio, compared to a longer term service?
I have had great success with both in my experience with my clients. I have clients that will have physical books, like you just mentioned, that they want to promote. And I think what this really comes down to is making sure that you've got the end goal really clearly defined. So some people might use a physical book as more of a front end offer. Okay, so they might run ads that say, hey, I've got this brilliant book and you can get it for free plus shipping. Okay, so we'll ship you the book for free because authors tend to have, garages full of these things, or they use Amazon for fulfillment, but we'll ship you the book for free and you just pay shipping. And then once people get the book, inside the book are lots and lots of ways that the reader can find out more about the author's brand. So they might have a QR code that takes them to a place where they can buy something else, or where they can get onto a coaching program or something like that. But then we also have clients that have, more of the high-end service-based, what we call higher ticket, the more expensive service-based, 6-month, 12-month programs. And the beauty of it is that within the Meta Ads platform, you have different ways of setting up ads that are designed to achieve different objectives. So it works just as well for the more physical kind of / lower ticket product as it does for the higher ticket products. But the fundamental thing that you have to make it work is that you've mapped out the user journey very, very clearly. So it's much easier to get somebody to say, yeah, I'll give you $4.95 for shipping if you're going to send me your book for free. People don't have to sit there and think, well, I should probably consult with my partner and maybe I need to think about, can we go on holiday? No, because it's $4.95. But when you're asking somebody to part ways with, something that might be a couple of £1,000s, then they're going to need to think about that more. They probably do need to speak to their partner. They need to look at their finances and think about affordability. So you have a different journey in place for that higher ticket item. You'll have more touch points in the process. You'll have things like payment plans in place for people who might want to spread the cost. So Meta as a platform is fantastic because it gives you the ability to create ad campaigns to support both of those instances and lots of other examples as well. But it's making sure that you've got the user journey sussed out so that, you make it natural, you make it feel right for the people that you're trying to bring in.
Hey you! If you're enjoying the Singing Teachers Talk podcast, then don't forget to hit the subscribe button. We are committed to bringing you engaging conversations and valuable insights from experts across the field of voice. By subscribing, it means we can continue to do that. You'll never miss an episode, and you'll be helping to spread the word to other singing teachers, vocal coaches, and overall voice nerds. So subscribe to this channel now and just watch your teaching grow. Just a question on the buyer psychology. We're recording this at 2026. What do you notice as being the main question that people might be asking themselves before? I know you mentioned trust, but is there anything in terms of that buyer psychology kind of thinking that is stopping them from buying quicker or anything like that?
Well, I do think trust is a huge part of it. But I also think that people, like I've said, they need to identify themselves in your messaging. When you're putting content out there, whether it's ads or organic content, if it's designed to connect with people and to build your audience and to grow your audience, then you have to speak the language of those people. And I've worked, just to clarify what I mean by that, I've worked with many, many clients over the years who get really caught up in their own jargon. Okay, so they'll work in their world and they'll be in their bubble and they'll be doing great work for their people. And if we think about how they interact with their clients, they might start to use terminology as they get more familiar with those clients who are already in their world. They've already paid them. They might start to use terminology with their clients that's quite specific and quite relevant to the niche that they operate in. But then they really struggle when it comes to, kind of lifting themselves out of that bubble and thinking, okay, I've got my clients, but I need more people because these clients are going to finish and then I'm going to have no clients. And when they go out to the wider world, they'll send me stuff for their ads. They'll send me landing pages. They'll send me copy that they want to use in their ads. And I'll look at it and go, no, people are not going to understand the jargon that you're using here. You've got to speak the language, like human language. Like, take all of the buzzwords out and just like make sure you're connecting with people. That, I think, is one of the most important things that people miss when they're running their campaigns.
Adverts can be really annoying. I remember my granddad used to channel hop a lot. Him and my nan used to love watching soaps. And so between EastEnders and Emmerdale and Corrie, he would just channel hop because he couldn't stand watching the ads. My husband now does exactly the same thing. And now platforms are saying, hey, you can get rid of ads if you give us your money. So how can we not be annoying? How can we stand out amongst all the noise of online advertising?
Yeah, I love this. I mean, I think that if you think about TV, right, people often, especially now, right, because the world of traditional television where you have, what do we have, 5 mainstream channels in the UK that are available at any time for pretty much for free. And, 3 of the 5 will run ads and you'll have 3 or 4 ad breaks every hour. And they'll be showing you ads in the hope that you are the right person at the right time. Okay, so you'll see ads for grocery shopping. You'll see ads for, I'm struggling to think because I don't watch terrestrial TV that much anymore. Car insurance, right? You'll see ads for all sorts of different things, and they are annoying, right? And people might use the on-demand facility and they might pay, like, I'm not endorsing any channels here, but I know that Channel 4 have 4OD and you can pay $3.99 a month and you don't get ads. And people will pay that because the ads are annoying. The reason the ads are annoying is because they're not relevant. Most of the time they're not relevant. It's not like you're sitting there going, well, I can't wait to see the ads because I know that they're all going to be super relevant to what I need right now.
Unless it's the John Lewis Christmas advert and then we're all there waiting.
Crying our eyes out most of the time when we see them, yeah. So I get in that sense that ads are annoying, and ads on social media platforms can be annoying. But for me, that happens because the people that are advertising are not doing it properly. Because the beauty of advertising on Meta is that you can be very, very selective about who your ads are shown to. And like I've spoken about many times during the course of our chat, the messaging has to be really strong. You've got to connect with people. So my feed now on Facebook and Instagram generally tends to be ads that I'm interested in. And the reason for that is because the algorithm is smart. I love trainers. I've got far too, my wife always tells me to stop buying pairs of trainers, but I collect them and I love them and I wear them a few times and they go in this huge cupboard and probably never get worn again. Anyway, if I go and look at an online trainer store, Meta will know, and then it'll start showing me ads about trainers. So Mandy should probably have a word with Meta to stop doing that. But that's the intelligence of the platform, right? Meta have this option now where you can opt out of seeing ads, right? So you can pay a monthly fee. I don't know what it is. I personally don't want to not see ads because a lot of my buying decisions are made by seeing ads, and I buy cool things that I like, right?
And you need more trainers, obviously.
Always. A pair a month is like the bare minimum. But analysts have looked at this and they've looked at the uptake of people looking at platforms like Facebook, for Instagram. If we take that in isolation, what's the uptake of people that are opting in for these services and paying a fee? Well, it's really, really low because people are used to it being free and they don't mind the ads so much. Now, some people are going to complain, and there are things that you can do as well on the platform without wanting to get too technical that will make the feed and the ads that you see less relevant to you. And that can be frustrating, but there is quite a simple way to curate your feed and make it actually work for you. Like I said, it's about making sure that your ads are targeted to the right people. And that now is best achieved by having really good visuals to your ad and really good copy in your ad. So again, people now in advertising, certainly on Meta, need to be thinking more about their messaging all the time. I mean, I've mentioned it about 100 times already. It's the most important thing, your messaging. That's how we stand out.
Can you tell us about your connect and convert ecosystem regarding how Meta Ads, how that process works?
Absolutely. It's probably easier if I share this on the screen.
Yes, we can see that. And any audio listeners, just pop over onto YouTube and you'll be able to see this as well. So Danny has got this cool looking chart with lots of arrows and colourful bits and bobs that he'll take us through now. So yeah, head on over and enjoy the visuals.
All right. So this is the case framework, as I call it, connect and convert ecosystem. So this is an ad strategy that we put in place for most of the clients that work with us in my agency. And the idea behind it is this. Most people, when they are running ads, will target cold traffic. So cold traffic just means people that don't know you, people that aren't aware of your brand, okay? People that exist out there on the internet, on Meta, but they don't know who you are. And they'll run ads to cold traffic and they'll push them into a funnel, okay? So I'll keep this as simple as I can. So let's say that this is a lead generation funnel over here. Let's use singing teachers as an example. Can you think of something, Alexa, that would be really useful to somebody that's thinking about becoming a singing teacher? Like something that we could give away for free, like 5 tips or a checklist or something like that.
So at Bast, we have a free resource that actually is available to any listener. If they go into the show notes, they can download that. And it's a PDF of practical ways to get started as a singing teacher.
Excellent. Okay. So practical ways to get started as a singing teacher. So what you would do is you would say, right, I'm going to run this ad promoting that guide to cold traffic. From the ad, they're going to come into my funnel. So they're going to go to a landing page where I say, yep, I've got this great thing. Give me your name and your email. And then once people give them the name and the email, they come over to the thank you page, which says, brilliant, it's on its way. And then the magic of the internet will send those people an email with the guide, right? That's a pretty straightforward list building funnel. Now, what happens is when we're running ads to cold traffic, if we want people to opt in for something, we call that a conversion, right? It's the same as if we want them to buy something. When we run conversion ads, the great thing about Meta is that it analyzes the audience that we're targeting, and it's only going to show your ads to people it thinks is likely to do what you're asking them to do, which is to convert. So that means that in this audience, if we're going after conversions, Meta's going to show them to a really thin slice of people that sit at the top of the audience. And all I'm talking about at the top of the audience is quality of traffic, right? The highest quality traffic is traffic that converts. But the rest of this audience is not going to see these ads because Meta's not going to show them because it doesn't think they're going to convert, and that'll be wasting your money, right? Meta wants to get you the best results possible. So one of the things that we do is that we don't want to ignore all of these people because they are very likely to be interested in becoming a singing teacher at some point. So we want to capture them a different way. So what we do is we run the connect phase, and we have videos that run here. And these videos might be value kind of videos. So it might be a similar message to what you're promoting with the lead magnet, but in video format, right? Or it might be something else. But the idea is that if we run video ads, that's a different objective, and that will be shown to much more, or many more people, should I say, that are in the other part of the audience here. And then what happens is once people watch a certain amount of that video, we'll pop them into a bucket here called the virtual warm audience. Now, we don't know who these people are. We can't identify them as individuals. We don't know their name or their email address, which we do up here because we capture their name and email address. But we can pop people into this bucket, and then we can show them more content through strategic targeted advertising. And if you pay, I don't know, let's say it's £5, just as a simple number up here per lead, per name and email captured, to get people into here might cost you 20 pence. So we can build this audience at scale very, very quickly. And what we're then doing, and this is the first part of the first kind of key tenet of the case framework, is that we're building an audience here, and we're building an audience at scale here. And then what we can do is we can start to retarget this audience with other content. So we might retarget this audience now that they've seen a video or two over here. We might say, okay, maybe you're ready now to come up here and come into our funnel, and then we can capture your name and email and start to market to you through email. Okay, so this top part of the ecosystem is really designed around audience growth, but this is what most people do, and they ignore this part. Okay, and this part is kind of like the long game that you want to be playing. So this isn't what we call an evergreen long-term strategy. Quick wins happen up here, and then we build audiences over time here.
Just for audio listeners, the quick one is the cold traffic into that funnel where you offer that free resource. And then the longer term is doing your video ads, is connecting with people through reels and videos and putting them into that sort of longer term connection, relationship building that you do.
Yeah, exactly that. So that's the top part of the ecosystem. And I would strongly recommend that people who are listening to this, like you said, watch the video so that they can actually see what I'm talking about, because it will make a lot more sense. The other thing that's really important about online marketing is, and where people miss a trick here, the cold traffic into the funnel is the quick wins, but it's a single point of entry into your world. Okay. So it's just like, yeah, I've got this funnel, come here, and that's how I'm going to capture you into my world. But not everybody that sits in this audience of cold traffic is going to do that, right? So what we can also do is we can run what we call the conversations phase. And here we run real video ads. These are normally, maybe a minute long, nice and short, sharp and punchy. And we might offer a free resource in these videos. And it could be the same resource you're giving away in the funnel over here, right? The exact same resource. But we might run a video ad, and then the call to action in these reels would say, if you want the free resource, comment below and I'll send it to you in Messenger. And then what happens is they comment, and then we say, brilliant, sending it to you in Messenger. And then we start a conversation with them in Messenger. Okay, so this is a different way of tapping into a different part of this audience here. And we're tapping into the part where people interact with reels more than they might opt in through a funnel. So we do the conversations phase. We have that for the cold audience, and we also have it for the warm audience as well. And then we have what we call the convert phase down here in the bottom right. And the convert phase is designed to help people that fall out of the funnel, meet them where they are with a specific piece of content, and then push them back up into the funnel again. So an example might be that someone in this cold traffic audience sees your ad and they say, yeah, I'm interested in that. So they come to your landing page and then they have a power cut, right? Just some random event happens, or somebody comes to the door, like Amazon, which happens in my house far too often. Or maybe it's the kids want tea or whatever it might be, right? Or they need a lift somewhere. But something happens and you don't complete the process that you were supposed to do up here, right? So you might get to the landing page, not enter your name and email, and then you, in effect, fall out of the process. So we just might have a little video ad here that says, hey, saw you were going to opt in for the guide, but you didn't finish. Go back and do it now. And then what happens is the next time they come online, they see this ad and it points them back up here, right? So the convert phase is designed to increase conversions. That's the point of it. Just through simple strategic retargeting of people that don't make it all the way through the funnel. Remember, the funnel doesn't just have to be about a lead magnet. It might be a slightly more complex funnel, which has got several stages. And at the end, people are buying something. So at each of the different stages, they might fall out of the process at any given point. So we just have content that meets them where they are and then pushes them back up into the funnel to take the final course of action. So that's the convert phase. And then finally, we have the content phase. The content phase is literally keeping this virtual warm audience warm. We don't want people to watch these videos and then just come and sit in this bucket and then not hear from us again. So people are generally creating content, a couple of pieces of content a week. Brilliant. We'll pop that into the content phase and we'll run it as really low cost ads to make sure that the people in here are staying engaged. We're keeping them aware of our brand. We're offering them things when we feel like it's the time to offer them things. But the beauty of all of this, Alexa, is that at each of these phases, we're not having to spend a fortune. You might spend £10 a day up here. You might spend £5 a day here. You might spend £2 a day here. So we can build this ecosystem strategically over time, running low cost ads where we don't have to spend hundreds and hundreds of pounds every single day to make this thing work and to make it sing, if you'll pardon the pun. This is a strategy. It's kind of like an all-encompassing ecosystem of ads that we put in place so that not only do people get the quick wins that everybody's going for up here, but they have the longer term strategy and the other connection strategies in place as well to kind of really build a significant business.
Is this something that you would suggest to be ongoing, even if maybe somebody's studio is like completely full, they have a waiting list, or they don't necessarily have a product in the making? Is it something that should just be ongoing?
Well, I think one of the fundamental ingredients of success when building an online business is you have to be building an audience. So I would say 100% you would want to keep the audience building stuff going, but I probably wouldn't start doing this unless I had something to sell ultimately, because otherwise you need to have money coming in, right? Because this is going to cost money to run. It's, we don't run ads for free. It's not the way it works. So you need to have something to sell. But even when you get full, you can switch things out. So let's say that you've got the capacity to work with 10 clients at a time and you get to 10. Then instead of your ads talking about ultimately signing up to work with you, you would look, like you mentioned, brilliant strategy, get them on a wait list. Keep sharing success stories, case studies of people that are having, really getting results with you, because that's going to keep people engaged and okay, I want to work with you. Oh, I can't, you've got a wait list. But yeah, you just kind of rework the content to suit the current scenario, basically.
How long should we be prepared to wait and test ads before judging the results and making adjustments?
Great question. So if we were to look at the ecosystem that I just shared, the case framework, then when clients come to work with me in the agency and we're looking to build that out, then we would probably say you're going to want to kind of work with us for 90 days, because there's going to be a month of getting everything up and running. Then there's going to be a month of gathering. I mean, it doesn't work out exactly like this, but generally speaking, a month of gathering data and then a month of optimizing and improving. Now, they all of those three different phases actually interweave with each other, but it's not something that you would build in a month and expect it to be, kind of churning out amazing results everywhere, because there's lots of moving parts. Everything's being tested all of the time. Even when you're running campaigns that are wildly successful, you are still testing. You're always testing, right? So when you start with a blank sheet of paper and you implement something like that, you're probably looking at a 90-day window before you've got enough data and you've optimized enough to kind of make key decisions. I also have an academy. which is a program where I teach people who aren't ready to invest in outsourced ads management and building ecosystems, but they want to get their toe in the water and they want to grow their audience. So we talked about a lead magnet, and I teach people in a 6-week program how to do that. If you're just looking at something like that in isolation, the way that I teach it in the academy is you can run ads for 2 or 3 days, and then you can look at the data and start to get a sense of what is and isn't working. I guess what I wanted to try and get across there is that there are different scenarios at play. And if you've got something that's quite simple, you can turn it around quite quickly. But if you've got something more complex and sophisticated, then obviously it's going to take a little longer.
Many singing teachers who are listening to this might need a little bit of help to know what sort of questions they should be asking themselves in order to work towards this secure marketing strategy and to figure out that really relatable copy that you've been mentioning. What sort of questions would you be asking us folk to help get us started off?
That's brilliant. So I think we would start, as I always do, with strategy. So we need to understand things like, who are we trying to attract? Who is the ideal client here? Is it people that have singing as a hobby or as a career? Is it kids or is it adults? Is it people that struggle with confidence? Is it people that struggle with technique? That's the kind of work that we need to do to really understand, because again, this is all going to come down to messaging, right? And then I think I'd want to talk about what is the transformation that we're going to be bringing to these people. Is it that we're going to take them from being nervous to like incredibly confident? Is it that we just want them to enjoy singing again and kind of feel the love for it and reconnect with that passion? Is it that they want to go from where they are now as a singer to somebody that can teach singing professionally? And again, that's going to feed into the messaging. Then we need to think about creating an entry point into their world. So is it a free vocal warm-up guide that you're going to be giving away? Is it a workshop that, kind of helps to explain, well, can you really learn to sing? Is it a quiz that helps them with confidence, right? But we need to create that entry point to attract the people that we want to attract, okay, by solving this, almost like the first little step on the big problem that we're going to solve. We want to solve that problem with this lead magnet, this entry point. And then I think also we're going to need to think about what content that we need to create that builds trust, right? So vocal tip videos, maybe like I mentioned, like student stories, like case studies of people that we've helped in the past, common mistakes that singing teachers might make, content that allows people to see us as an authority, as a human, and to connect, content that connects them. Before and after clips of a student, if they're going to allow it, of, this is how they used to sing, this is how they sing now. And that's because of the process that I took them through. And then I think I would start with a really simple funnel, which is an ad that takes people to the free resource that then has a really strong email nurture sequence at the back end, which is designed to build a relationship, build know, like, and trust, which is it's a very, very well used phrase in the world of online marketing, but so important. You've got to build know, like, and trust with people. And then that email nurture sequence is going to be the gateway that creates demand, that creates inquiries for, a lesson or a program, or maybe jumping on a call. But the process is add, deliver free resource, have an email nurture sequence, and then the email nurture sequence will take them to the next step of the process. Once we've got that system in place, we need to figure out how we're going to measure success. So are we getting the right cost per lead? Are we ultimately getting bookings? That's what we want to be seeing. What are the conversion rates? That kind of stuff. And that's where the data comes in. That's the stuff I really love analyzing once campaigns are up and running. But I think it's about creating an end-to-end process that is optimized not for ad metrics like clicks or leads, but it's actually optimized for the end goal, which is sales and bringing in students or whatever it is that people want to achieve. It's about trust, right? It's about making sure that you can build this journey that allows people to trust you as the person behind the campaign, behind the ad campaign, and give people an experience that is ultimately going to help them to convert.
So if a singing teacher is going to come and work with you and share their business and their visions with you, what might they expect? Could you summarize it in maybe 3 key words?
They would expect strategy, clarity and honesty from me. I think that is what I would be bringing to the table to help them.
Oh, it's been so insightful. Thank you so much, Danny. Can you tell us where listeners can find out more about you and your business and get in touch?
Yeah, I would say that the best way is to search for me on Meta, Facebook or Instagram. Just search for Danny Young Ads Strategist. I would point you to my website, but as I mentioned before we started recording, it's quite out of date. But I do have a program, the Academy, which is a great place to start. And I could happily share the link with that if you want to pop it in the show notes.
Oh, Danny, thank you so much for your generosity. It's been great. And I realise how shite my strategy is.
Let's fix it.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for your time.
My pleasure.